Welcome back, everybody, to the Minecraft Short Stories podcast. This is episode 85, and it's the first episode of 2026, because I'm recording this on January 1st. And in this episode, I will be telling a listener story by Servequian. Thank you for submitting it. It's very good. I'm happy I get to read it on the show. If you, the listener, would also like to submit a story, you just have to go to minecraftshortstories.com, find a link to that inside the description, and then just go to the submit story page, and it may get read on the podcast. While you're down there, there's some other links. Make sure to check those out. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into the story.
This episode is brought to you by ChatGPT. Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Have you guys heard about ChatGPT work? It's the new way to use ChatGPT for bigger multi-step projects. And when you need more than just answers, give ChatGPT work access to your apps and files, and it can create real work documents like spreadsheets, slides, and structured reports. Get started at chatgpt.com by selecting work mode, available on Plus and Pro plans.
I see you.
Avatar: Fire and Ash is now streaming on Disney+. It's the film critics are calling the best Avatar yet.
Yeah! Go, 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 go!
A true epic and completely jaw-dropping.
This is the only pure thing in this world.
Return to Pandora on Disney+.
It will be an adventure for the whole family.
And watch the Oscar-winning phenomenon at home.
This is sick!
Avatar: Fire and Ash, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG-13.
The Purple Totem, Part 1, by Servequian. Brahimir scratched his beard as rain pattered on the roof of his bedroom, in the castle. Of all the nights that it rained across the kingdom of Vastia, this was the most fitting of nights. For this night was when King Brahilir's brother, Reginif Vastia, was assassinated. He was the king's only sibling, and head peacemaker of the states of Vastia. Without him, tensions would arise across the kingdom, and across the other nations in league with Vastia. Not to mention he was Brahimir's uncle. Brahimir stood up and paced the floor. It was troublesome news that Reginif was killed, not only because of new problems Vastia would face, but also because it might mean someone wanted to end the royal line of Traf Vastia, the kingdom's first king. This situation often happened in previous attempts to destroy Vastia's first line of kings. Kill an unsuspecting victim of the line, then focus everyone on his murder, and pick off the rest of the line quietly, making people assume that the victims were simply missing, only to find out the truth before it was too late. This tactic never worked. However, there was always one person in the family who had enough wits to see through the plan every time. I guess this time it's me. Brahimir's family was rather strange. His father, Brahilir, was a fickle king and chose to do things on a whim, which included his marriage. One day, as Brahilir was passing through the streets of the city of Treewind, he saw a simple lady and asked her to be his bride. She said yes, and the two were wed in a matter of months from their first meeting. Brahimir was born, and he was the youngest of two brothers, one of which loved to fight, and the other who loved to brew strange potions. Brahimir was someone who preferred to delve in knowledge, often visiting the libraries of Vastia, being courteous to the villagers who tended the surplus of books. That didn't mean Brahimir was a weakling, however. Of all the weapons, Brahimir was best with the sword, which was also the weapon he most enjoyed, being skilled in the bow, crossbow, axe, and spear, not too good with the mace. His brother's obsessions often led them to doing incredibly stupid things. Nothing big, but mainly rudeness to the elders and a dislike of studies as strong as the bitterness of Netherwart, with some of the most notable stupid things they've done being challenging an Enderman with no armor and accidentally turning the village cartographer into a pig. This last one was fixed quickly, but from then on, the cartographer had a new appreciation for carrots. A knock on the door drew Brahimir out of his thoughts. He crossed the royally lavished bedroom, for he was royalty, and opened the spruce door. "Brammy," a booming voice said, as Brahimir was enveloped in a hug. Brahimir laughed. "You old rascal, what are you doing here?" He looked into the eyes of his best friend, Patch, who had a more rustic name because he wasn't royalty. "Be a good friend, of course." He set down a basket of delectable treats in front of Brahimir. They contained everything: cake, cookies, pumpkin pie, and Brahimir pulled up some of the tissue paper and treats to see the bottom of the basket filled with forest fruit, Brahimir said, "but I know what the law says. But you're going through a rough time now. These are just a few, not enough to start messing with your head and making you walk like an Enderman. Besides, I know they're your favorites, and I just want to make you more comfortable with your uncle passing away. Brahimir gazed upon the contraband. Finally, he smiled. You're a dirty man, Taj, but I welcome you anyway. Brahimir swept his arms in a royal gesture and bowed deeply to Taj, who did the same in turn. Why don't we find you a safe place to eat these, eh? Taj said. Brahimir hesitated. The murderer was still on the loose, and the royal family was in lockdown, which meant that Brahimir wasn't allowed to leave, and even if he was allowed to leave, Brahimir wouldn't have done it anyway. Better safe than sorry. In full honesty, it's surprising that Taj even got in here. The treats were tempting though, and Brahimir hadn't had one in years, since the old farmer's addiction, which slowly corrupted his mind and made him into a village Enderman hybrid, had caused Frohylir to outlaw coarse fruit. Brahimir thought it was a good decision to outlaw it. That also meant that anything with coarse fruit was banned, like coarse pies and end cookies, which were his favorite. For the most part, Brahimir was only going to make food out of the fruit, but he still wanted a pure bite of one, even if it teleported him. But where to go? If I can't leave the castle, where could we go without being caught? The coarse fruit only teleported them so far, which meant if Brahimir could find a place for them to eat the fruit, it was relatively far away from everyone, they wouldn't get caught. The place entered his mind instantly. The dungeon! The dungeon? Feeling dangerous today, are we? Taj said, smirking. Oh, you and I both know that there's nobody down there, which means, Brahimir leaned closer, there's no need for anyone else to go down there. The perfect place, Taj said. Indeed, shall we go, good sir? But of course, my soon-to-be king, Taj bowed. Brahimir paused. He was to be a king soon, which meant this assassination was all the more frightening for him. Never mind that. Today I'm going to spend time with Taj. I can still be a good king and enjoy life. Besides, it's not like I'll do this every night. They walked down the flight of steps and passed through the courtyard, which was very wet, until they were almost to the dungeon. Only 2 rooms away, but they would have to pass through the dining hall, which was probably where Brahimir's father was, drinking different wines, potions that made people act rather silly and make fools of themselves if they were drunk too much. This was his favorite hobby. Brahimir and Taj tried to enter quietly, but the king spotted them seconds later and gestured for them to come over. They reluctantly made their way over, as Taj tried to hide the coarse fruit as best he could, while trying to stay out of the conversation as much as possible. Frohylir said. His face wasn't stern, but actually quite pleasant. I've wanted to tell the guests why I chose you for my heir, and I thought you should be here for me to tell them. Oh, great. Brahimir simply nodded his head. Frohylir called the attention of the guests who sat at the table, enjoying new wines with him. He was clearly a bit affected by the wine, because he wasn't usually this happy or proud of his children. But that also meant he would be less observant, which might work in Brahimir's favor. Dear guests, Frohylir said, here's a man of fine quality, and a son who has proved constantly how fitting he is to be the new king of Astia. A son who has proved his love and loyalty. Brahimir glanced at Taj, who stood quietly by, not wanting to draw attention. Taj made a silly noble face at Brahimir. He shrugged it off with a smile. Frohylir continued his impromptu speech. I chose him to be my heir because he has proved his might in both arms and mind. True leader and a wondrously kind and respectful boy, who has outshined his 3 brothers and will continue to shine today and all days as the true High King of Astia. Multiple cheers went up as Brahimir smirked. The speech was clearly induced by his father's favorite hobby. There were multiple errors in the speech, like his father suddenly loving his mind, when that was the last thing his father wanted him to study, and he said he had 3 instead of 2 brothers. Brahimir straightened. Taj was at the room beckoning for him to hurry over. Brahimir could escape. He bowed politely and hurried over to Taj as nonchalantly as possible. Lovely speech, don't you think? Taj said. Wonderful. Now let's get it over with, Brahimir said. You must sound like you don't want to do it. The 2 walked out of the dining hall and passed through a stone corridor, back outside into the rain and into the dungeon. It wasn't as scary as Brahimir thought it would be. There were a few cells with bars, but they had windows, and torches that lit the place up relatively well, meaning no monsters would spawn. Almost instantly upon entering the room, Taj popped out 2 chorus fruits and handed one to Brahimir. Let's eat at the same time, Taj said. Sounds good to me, Brahimir said, eyeing the fruit. First, a toast to your almost kingship. Taj raised the fruit into the air. All right, Brahimir said, raising his fruit. There was silence. Are you going to say something? Brahimir finally asked. No, just reverent silence for the fall of Vastia under your reign, Hutch said. Really, come on, I just want to eat my fruit. Okay. 3, Brahimir and Tetch started. 2, 1. Brahimir took a bite out of the coarse fruit, and upon swallowing, instantly felt the tugging sensation on his stomach as the surroundings changed when he teleported. It always blurred before revealing where he had teleported to. Brahimir wondered where he would end up, but it didn't take long to find out. Brahimir wished it did take long. Instead of the surroundings changing, everything went dark. Panic hit Brahimir, but he stopped it as soon as it started. He probably landed in a cave a few feet below the castle, which would be easy to get out of. Besides, monsters were easy for him to kill. It wasn't like he left his sword in the bedroom or anything. Brahimir fumbled for a torch, and in his inventory he only found one. Looks like I can't monster-proof anything. He held up his torch and gasped. Before him lay a massive doorway which led into a dark castle-like passage, and at the end of it was a small purple and black dragon. It stared into his eyes. End of part 1. And that's part 1. Thank you again, Sarekwian, for submitting this story. If you want to submit part 2, I'd be happy to read it on the podcast. Also, thank you, the listener, for listening. If you're on Spotify, there should be a poll or a question, or both. So make sure to check that out for this episode, and also leave a comment. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a 5-star review. Give me some feedback inside the comments. Anyways, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys inside the next episode.